Hi, Mike Gionta, the founder and owner of the RecruiterU, RecruiterU.com. We help owners of executive search firms grow and scale their recruiting business.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Great to see you again, my friend.
What have you been up to?
I have been actually kind of finally living the life of my dreams.
Okay, what is that?
We were talking about it a little bit this morning in the meeting here. It's just that liberating yourself to really stay connected to desire and not getting caught up in the how or safety, security, knowing the solution and the money are there.
Obviously, you were not always in that place.
No.
Right? Tell me about where you were when we first met and we started working together.
So I had, in the late 2008, 2009, around the recession, you had a bunch of audios. I bought a bunch of your stuff. I never went to an event. And then in 2015, you had something, and I just remember in the title was Resistance. And that's where I think it was October 2015. And I said, I'm going to go to this event because this is what I'm experiencing. I had success, and success always came from working hard. Even though I had my own business, I felt 100% dependent upon myself, especially in my newer business. And I went to that seminar and December, Fort Lauderdale or Hollywood. And the one thing I remember you said there, which was like a light switch for me, is nothing will happen till you make a decision. Because I didn't want to decide, right? I had all these options. I had all these things I wanted to do, but I wouldn't just make a decision. And then I decided then to make an investment in myself, to spend a day with you. And then we did in Montreal.
Yeah.
And I remember going to that event with what I thought was what I wanted to cover. And you looked at me and you go, that's not why you're here. Because I was still in resistance.
Right.
But that day was a real breakthrough.
It was, yeah.
I think the other one is God is good all the time. And that's more I know you've said it a lot, but I heard it more recently.
Yeah.
And you were, I forgot where you were saying it, God is good all the time. And I don't even remember where I was stuck or having trouble. And I started saying it. And a day later, I'm at a Burger King. And there's a guy, I'm pouring my drink. And he walks up to me and goes, sir, could you give me $5 to get something to eat? And I'm like, let me walk up to the register. You can get whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right. And he looked at me. He goes, God is good all the time. And it was like a lightning bolt.
No shit.
I had just heard it from you. And I started saying it.
Wow.
In challenging situations. I'm like looking for the good. When you lose a client or something, wait, there's something good here. God is good all the time. God is good all the time. And then it was either that day or the day after.
Isn't it wild when that happens? It's like such a confirmation, like that would have never happened before. Like I've never heard anybody.
No one has ever said to me in a casual relationship. I heard it from you as a mentor, but no one ever walked up to me and said, when I've done something for them, God is good all the time.
Yeah.
It's 60 years. That's never happened.
I love it when those confirmations come in. That's fantastic.
It was just like it went up and down. It just went up and down my spine.
I bet.
And I think that's the main thing, though. I think we're so trained societally to not make mistakes, to not screw up, to be perfect. Where our company culture is, half my team hates this, is we build the plane as it goes down the runway, knowing that we're going to clear the trees by the time we get there, and we're going to screw it up. And if we don't screw it up, we were way too conservative,
sure.
And we weren't really that creative. And a lot of things, we put things out to new clients. We're like, hey, this is the first time we're running it. We're going to screw it up. Give us that feedback. But it's usually a level beyond we've taken them before. So even with the screw ups, it's a better level of service.
Right.
And so that was the other thing, is looking in the good for that and striving for failure, not in a negligent way, but in the creative process.
That's great. Was there something that indicated to you where you recognized this is the problem I'm having in resistance? It sounds like you knew that there's different ways that I'm going, but I'm not making a decision. Otherwise, you wouldn't have heard that, right? I
didn't know why I was stuck, but I was stuck. And I know now why I was stuck.
Why were you stuck?
Well, like I said, during that event where you said that's not why you're here, you took me through a series of questions, and the huge impact was the conversations I heard about money growing up, right? And that money was security. So part of that resistance was letting go of money to go to another level.
Yeah.
It was letting go of all that, letting go of my need to be the guy, that no one does it better than me, to grow and scale using leverage and other people, is to build a team.
Right. And then the outcome of that, as you began to work through those things, how did your life change? And how did your business change?
Well, there are two things going on in parallel. What I did at that meeting, I don't know if I ever told you this, because I said, how do I get out of this? Like, I can see money's controlling me, and I can see the things around money were controlling me. And you go, well, it's a subconscious belief based on a lifetime of very loving parents, grandparents. And how do you let go of that? He goes, you have to disprove it. He goes, so go spend money and you'll see it come back.
Yeah.
And so I made a resolution that for 1 year, whatever I wanted, I would buy. Now, I didn't want Lear jets and super yachts,
Right.
But I could go to a store and I could pick up a coffee mug and go, $20. This isn't worth $20. Right. I'd pay 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was whatever it was, I had to buy it. Whatever it was, I had to buy it. The big test there was an auction at a charity to throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park. 20 tickets. It was a whole event. And I nudged my friend. I go, oh, that'd be really neat for my son, Christopher. And I'm like, crap, I have to buy it. Because I knew it'd be like $10,000, $15,000, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And it was just like, I'm just buying it. And then what we did was we actually had a really good month in business. And I kept seeing that whenever I invested in myself or went and followed desire, out of nowhere, I'd have a client pay in full.
Yeah.
And it would just replace the money. And you said, if you do this in faith, so I had to do it in faith in you in faith.
Right. Yeah. Believe in my belief.
Believe in your belief.
Right.
Yeah. I think this is what Proctor told you.
That's what he told me.
Right. And believe in your belief in me. And that I know this never fails. So why would it start with me failing? And every time I've done that, and that was 6 or 7 years ago, it's like, I want it. I know the money will show up. I want it. And it's not like I sit there in the room and I'm manifesting money. You continue to take action.
Yeah. It's not money for nothing. There's a reason. There's a reason behind it. And the thing is that it's really wild, because I remember being on the same side of that thing that you were talking about and having to hand that credit card over in faith, thinking to myself, I must be the biggest idiot on the planet to believe this, that this is how it actually works. And then finding out that it was extraordinary. And then I was like, why? How is it that everybody doesn't know this? I think when that changes your life, it opens the possibility up in your mind for what else could I possibly do? Because you're not living every day with I can't do this because I can't afford it. I hear people every day that will say all the things that they can't do in life that they would love to do. And the only reason is because they don't have the money to be able to do it.
As part of that journey, right? So I think I was in a marriage for 30 years. It wasn't a horrible relationship. We actually still get along, but we weren't happy with each other. So it's not even enough for me to say I wasn't happy with her. I'm pretty sure she wasn't happy with me. We don't hate each other. We never hated each other. It's one of those, probably it evolved to a mediocre marriage and a partnership. And I'm like, but like you used to say, desire creeps up and then we suppress it. Desire creeps up and we suppress it. It's the things that keep coming up over and over again that we ignore that usually hold us back from our happiness. And the one thing that kept coming up over and over again was new relationship, or just the word relationship. And I did a bunch of things to try to work on it. And then I successfully identified takes two. My old version of me would have never let go of the half of the amount of money I needed to get happiness. Right. So to walk away from that, not just the financial side, but all the judgments from friends and family and how can you do this and your kids versus just stepping into who I really felt I was. And I couldn't have done that without those earlier steps.
Yeah. So that helped build the belief to make that decision.
Yes.
That's a tough decision for people.
It's the hardest decision I ever made.
Same with me. Understanding that. Well, for me, it was, why am I in these relationships? Like, what is it that has got me so tolerant of what is obviously not working, right? And then making the decision to go in a completely different direction. What's next now?
Well, next now is, once I release that, the love of my life shows up
Love of your life shows up.
right there.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's amazing.
And it's somebody kind of just in harmony and alignment along the same principles that you teach about abundance. And, we've had a lot of struggles because we're both coming over old paradigms of what a relationship was, should be, versus, and then just forging ground to recreate.
Yeah. And not dragging past relationships into current relationships type thing. That's fantastic, man.
And then now, this is kind of what I wrote about, what I wanted clarity is, I know there's another level. I'm not exactly sure what it is for me to take not only this business or potentially even another business. I've had a few things and I've taken action on, and as you know, I've done a lot of work with kids.
Right.
And that has been amazing.
Yeah.
And that's
I know that's so close to your heart.
It's not a compensation. That's just an ability. I don't want to say to give, but just to serve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I get tremendous joy out of it, where I don't need the compensation. But I also think there's higher level entrepreneurs, and this is what one of Francis's gifts are, where I think we'd be a great team, is that mindset and technique wise on building companies, which we're doing in the RecruiterU.
Right.
But it's a smaller niche. How do we grow beyond that niche? How do we impact people at a higher level?
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
On to the future, my man. Thank you.